How's it going, everybody? This is Emergency Reels again. It's been a while since I uploaded last, and it's time for another one. So today, got my mom's BMW behind me, and we're going to be replacing the oil level sending unit today. Her part we just replaced a couple months ago, and it's leaking oil through the sensor plug. Not through the gasket, but through the sensor plug. That's why you get good parts and not garbage parts from your local AutoZone. So, let's get under the car and take a look. Alright guys, so we are under the front of the car right now, facing back. As you see, this is just a view of the subframe right now. We've got the skid pan right here. As you can see, the subframe is just covered in oil. If you look back to this next plastic cover, that's covered in oil also. This plastic cover is covered in oil. You can see where it's dripped off the subframe onto the body of the car. So it's leaking pretty bad, and obviously here's this pool of oil from this sensor. So it's a good sized problem, and it needs to be addressed. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to take this skid plate off, this plastic drip pan, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and show you where all the screws are for this drip pan. Here's the front of the car, like I said. Directly under it you have a screw here, a screw here, you have a screw here, screw here, screw here along the back, and then on the other side you have a screw here and a screw here. These are Phillips head, so I've got the Phillips head driver bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and zip these off real quick. It's going to be kind of hard to record by myself, so I'll just go ahead and do it and get back with you. So here's the drip pan. So now that we have that off, we have a nice view under the car. You can see all sorts of things now, but now we need to go ahead and locate the oil pan and locate the sensor that we're going to be changing. So we found the oil pan. I'm now laying sideways in the car. You can see you got the tire sitting there, so it's about even with the tire. So here's the oil drain plug, which we're going to have to loosen and drain all the oil out because the sensor is on the bottom of the pan. You can kind of see it in there. Not really though, so we'll wait till we get a better look at it. But we're going to go ahead and drain the oil, and we'll move to the next step. Okay, so we've got the view of the oil drain plug. Figured I'd just go ahead and show you all this because I feel like I'm cutting through too many steps off camera. So I'll just go ahead and show me draining this oil. I've got my bucket here that is going to catch all of it. Y'all can't see that. I think it's just out of frame. But there's no oil leaking from around this bolt, so that is just reassurance that it's draining out of this sensor. I'm just going to try to be careful to not drop this plug into the oil, because no one wants to fish that out. There it goes. Managed to stay clean. This motor's cold, so oil's pretty thick right now, so it's going to take a little longer than normal. But since I managed to keep one dry hand, I'll go ahead and show y'all what we're looking at. It's just draining on out like normal. I believe this holds about 5 quarts, so it's going to be a while since the motor's cold and it's thicker than normal. So we'll get back to you when it's empty. Alright, so the oil might as well be all the way drained at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this big metal plate off, because that's the only way we can get to the sensor. So looks like there are 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there, and if I can reach over, 2 bolts there. So let's go ahead and get it off. Alright, so I got the pan out. It's just a little skid plate, and as you can see, it's leaking pretty bad. So definitely good thing that we're getting this fixed, and we'll move on back under the car. Alright, here's the sensor. As you can see, there's oil dripping off of it, and if you look, you can see it about to drip right now. But this is actually out of the plug, the sensor plug, and it's not out of the gasket, which, like I said, is for a faulty part. So we'll go ahead and get this sensor pulled out and swap her with a new one and put everything back together. And I waited till it was time for an oil change, so I wasn't draining the oil for nothing. So go ahead and swap a new oil filter on, and she'll be good to go. Alright, so there's 3 little studs on there with 3 little nuts that are right there. I just went ahead and took those off. That's let's see, it is a 10 millimeter. So just in case there's still oil in here, I'm just going to move this over here, and I'll try and film this. Just gonna pull this out. Not gonna be easy one-handed, so I'm just gonna pull it out and get back with you. Alright, so here's what the old sensor looks like. It's just coated in oil all up in the sensor. So, garbage part. But a little bit more oil dripped out when I pulled this. So we'll just set this on the ground here. Get it focused in there. Take a look at that. That's the hole for it, and just put it back together basically with a new part. So let's get to it. Alright, so I got this new one in. I've got the bolts snugged up. When you tighten them, you want to make sure that you're tightening them evenly. You don't want to tighten one to the full spec first and then the next one like that. You just want to make sure you're doing all of them at the same pressures, just so that gasket seals nice and evenly, just to help prevent any future leaking. Not that you should have to worry about it, but we'll go ahead and plug this sensor back in. Make sure it's clicked in. So our next step in reassembly is putting the steel plate back on that covers all this. So I'll go ahead and get a couple bolts up, thread it in there, and do the rest. I'm gonna clean it first. Figured I'd just mention that for all the people that would probably have something to say if I didn't. Alright, so I finally got the pan on. That was actually somewhat difficult compared to my expectations. What I recommend you do is start with the front ones on the front of the car. Just get a couple threads in there, just let it hang, and then do the backs. Do the back ones just one at a time, just to make sure everything's lined up, and tighten the back ones, and tighten the fronts, and then make sure all of them are tight. That's the way I found it was easiest, and might work for you too. So now that I got that on, I'm going to go ahead and swap out the oil filter, and then put this skid plate, this little plastic drip pan, back on the front. So to take the oil filter housing apart, just look right here. I've got a special socket for it. It's 36 millimeter, and just loosen that. Alright, so got that cap off. Now you got this filter right here. It just pulls right out, straight out. Recommend having paper towels put under it because it's going to drip all over the motor. And set it down. Grab a new filter. Alright, so now that we got the old filter out, got the new one, just snapped it right on. Fits right over the cylinder on the cap. And just put it right in there. Get our wrench. Just going to go ahead and tighten this up and torque it to 25 Newton meters. So I've got my mobile one over here. I'm going to go ahead and fill her up. Before I fill it up, I'm going to go ahead and take it off the jack stands just to make sure I get the right oil level so it's not at an angle. It'll be all nice and flat when we go to fill it up. So I'm going to go ahead and take her off the jack stands and fill her up, actually this time. Alright, so for now I'm just going to start off with 4 quarts just because I'm not sure how much it takes. Cap off. Just going to get my funnel so I don't spill any. Hopefully this stays here. So we got the 4 quarts poured in there. I'm going to give it a couple minutes to all settle down, and we're going to check the oil just to see what level it's at. If it doesn't show up on the dipstick, I'm going to add another quart and play it from there. So I just checked the oil, and it's pretty low. And I'm going to pour about half of it. So there's half. Where can I set this? I'll set it on the ground because I don't want that to tip over. So we'll give this a couple seconds. Make sure it settles down and check the oil. Boom. A couple minutes have passed. Still low. So we're gonna add the rest of this quart. And hopefully that'll do it. Whatever. Give it a couple minutes and do it all over again. So I just checked the oil again. Looks like it could stand about another half a quart. So we'll throw another half quart in there and check it again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is the perfect amount of oil. It's right dead center of where it's supposed to be. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half quarts. So hopefully with this video you'll feel confident enough to do this job yourself. I know it's a common problem on the BMWs, so good luck to you, and hopefully this helps you out. Have a good day.